Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and our toll-free number, 800-951-0592, the website at allamericangold.com, and welcome to Wednesday. We had another inflation report out today. This has been the big number, and shame on me for not putting it together sooner. That they've been hoping for. This is the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. Yes, and it was supposed to tell us inflation had peaked. Of course, we were at 8.5%. This was an April number. And it was all baloney to begin with, because there was a couple of things that made this report a little more unique, if you will, than previous reports, because every 6 months they reset the inflation gauge. In other words, they pretend that the new base price to track the inflation, they move it up. And they knew in this particular report that a big jump in used car prices was going to fall off. So they were hoping that they could trick us like we don't remember that used car prices, now let's face it, a used car now is about the same price as what a new car used to be 10 years ago. But nonetheless, the number comes out. They were hoping for a number about 8. Whatever happened to 2? But no, we want 8. They didn't get it. It was 8.3%, and this was, as we know, hey, gasoline fell a little bit. Gasoline's not falling anymore. Matter of fact, get ready. And again, the one thing, Jason, I keep trying, and I was saying it all along, China was closed in April. They're not going to stay closed forever. And I keep telling, and Jason said, well, you keep telling everybody October, so no one thinks they need to get ready till October. Boy, you're an absolute fool if you're not picking up gold and silver right now. This has been some paper carnage, all this hoopla about dollar strength. Listen, here's the deal. Our central bankers and our mainstream media allows them to lie to you. None of this is the reality. The dollar isn't strong. It's not the cleanest dirty shirt in the laundry. They're all dirty, Jason, and they're all headed in the wrong direction. Not to mention, we had some very interesting developments for all you crypto guys out there, Jason, where I think maybe we have another piece to the puzzle of how this digital currency is going to come in and what possibly could be happening to the cryptocurrency holders.
That's right, Joe. And when it comes to preparing for tougher times, just because the inflation rate on their rigged number is down 0.2% out of 8.5 to 8.3, which is almost nothing, not a time to sit around and Joe and I never understood this. Why do people wait for us to get on the air and other economic news experts, so-called, out there, telling you how crazy things are and that the war is worse and there's more troops going here and coronavirus is going to shut everything down? Why do people wait for all of that to go into overload before they start buying and everything's skyrocketing in price? I never understood that. So if the last 4 to 5 weeks of the news cycle has been a little nicer, kind of having a breather, that's when you're supposed to buy, is when nobody else is buying. People are not buying as much gold in April and early May as they were in March when the war was raging, and people were like, what's going to happen? I don't know, and so, and then, of course, Joe, you talked about Bitcoin, or cryptocurrencies. Yeah, that'll be interesting to talk about. We hit on it a little bit on our phone call this morning, and they're definitely the powers that be, the Fed, the government, they're going to use what's going on in those markets, I believe, to bring in their Fed coin. It's just a question of exactly how they're going to do it, and I think there's a couple of paths we could talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, and again, all the other things that are going on as far as the president was out speaking, saying, inflation's unacceptably too high. And once again, though, nobody being held accountable. If it was really unacceptably too high, then get Jay Powell out, have an emergency meeting, and get these rates where they need to be to get it down. But, of course, let's face it, that's just what they want you to say. That they wish that they could talk themselves out of what's happening. Remember, this is why they came up with the word transitory. They just were buying time. They were trying to, maybe we can talk ourselves out of inflation. No chance of that happening. This number today is a disaster because they had everything going for it to actually have the number come in lower because they were resetting the baseline. And, of course, those baselines, those numbers got reset higher, and it really didn't happen. And, of course, now we've got energy pricing rising again, crude oil just up over $5 a barrel again, natural gas prices skyrocket again, unleaded gas futures back to $3.70 again. And Jason, it's just a matter of time as we go through on our way up through Memorial Weekend. I would not be surprised if a large part of the country will see $5 a gallon, and I think that's kind of one of those thresholds again that we're going to get ready for this next leg down. Wall Street already showing us that this dollar rally, I think, is about done as people are going to start realizing, raising rates doesn't equate to a strong dollar. It just equates to we got a Fed that's way behind. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason here, and man, so many numbers inside of the inflation report were really much worse than they thought. The core CPI. Now, this one, the Fed's favorite number. Of course, it's the lowest number possible. So the number inside the number, if you will. There's, believe it or not, and this I find it kind of funny, but it is what it is on all of this. There's 67 different, I'll call them companies, individuals that are used in what they call the BBG Business Survey. So this is how they come up with, Jason, how they come up with what they think the number is going to be. And then we talk about, was it worse than they thought? Was it better than they thought? The core inflation number month over month was up 0.6%, way hotter than they expected. As an example, at 8.5% inflation the month before, the core was at 6.5%. So if you annualize this one, now the core's at 7.2, right? Annualized versus 6.5. So the number actually got much worse. But what was amazing is all 67 of these so-called experts, none of them had the core number this high. It actually was bigger than every estimate out there. And this just tells you how it is that they use wishful thinking to try to have these numbers come true, Jason.
Wouldn't it be easier if they just took standard things that people use all the time and just go off of that, have a basket of commodities or whatever, just go off of that, have one number? Why do they have to have, of course we know, Joe, why they have to make it confusing. They don't want people to understand it. But
I'll tell you what, I think we're going to have Joey here tomorrow, and I want him to, because it's just so relevant. He went, as part of his college, he went to the Chicago Federal Reserve. And it just so happened that they decided to try to explain to these college kids how they track inflation. And I don't want to ruin the whole story, but my son was like, Dad, it's so ridiculous. They take the actual number, and then they use all these crazy justifications that make absolutely no sense at all to try to make the number be lower than what the actual number was. And he was going on and on about, hey, they didn't have a single calculation, not one of these adjustments that actually made the inflation be higher than what the actual number was. And I remember him telling me, he goes, I just asked the guy, why don't we just use the actual number? And then they try to, and again, try to use this, you're just not smart enough. And let me tell you all the justifications for why we don't use it. And the answer is really simple. You know why they don't use it? Because they don't want you to know how much they're really ripping you off. If people really understood how the Fed would work, we would be demanding it end, period. We would be demanding it end. And right now, if you're not getting a minimum of 10% interest in your bank savings accounts, they're ripping us off, period.
I mean,
of course, what are we getting right now? Nothing.
Joe, for the
think about how bad it really is. Just to highlight some things, food inflation, at-home food inflation, up almost 11%. Over the last 12 months, the largest increase since going back to November of 1980. Of course, again, every time I got to say it, well, they tracked it different in 1980. If we were using the way they tracked it in 1980, at-home food inflation, we'd have broken a record. Indexes for meat, poultry, fish, and eggs, 14.3% higher over the last year. The largest 12-month increase going back to May of 1979. Airfares up 18.6% in April, the largest monthly increase since the inception into the inflation series starting in 1963. These are the things that, Jason, we caught. How many times? I don't know that we go a show. And if we do, it's only one. We never go more than 2 shows without saying something is at a new all-time record high.
Well, maybe we should go the other direction. And from the late 1700s, when we became a country, to the early 1900s, there was zero inflation. I mean, there was inflative cycles. 18 teens, the 1830s, and the Civil War times. There was these minor times of inflation during war and economic chaos, but a $20 gold piece, a $20 paper bill, and a cow were all the same thing for almost 150 years. Never changed, because gold was the money, and it was a Federal Reserve Bank. When that central bank got put into place in 1913, within one generation, by the 1930s, they had messed up the whole thing. And inflation was considered a normal part of living, and especially since 1971, boy, they just completely let that thing go, Joe. And it's been inflation ever since. Look at the 70s. As soon as they took gold off the dollar, the 70s, the inflation hit hard because they knew it was coming. And now, look, they've done exactly what you said at your son's trip to the Fed. They lie, and then things blow up, and it's like, well, see, but our lies tell you that it wasn't us. It was something else.
When you don't like the answer, change the question. Right? When you don't like the answer, change the question. That's what the Fed did. They just changed it. And then guess what? They used the mainstream media to convince you otherwise. So let me give you another fact. Real wages. Not the fake crap they put out on the TV. Yes, believe it or not, the Fed does track real wages. And what they mean by real wages is based on how much you get paid and based on our fake inflation, do you actually have more money or less money at the end of the month? Pretty simple. In other words, are what you getting paid offsetting the higher cost? Real wages fell for the 13th straight month in a row. Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, one of the signs, I keep talking about these signs about the slowdown. It doesn't get any worse than that number when you're sitting there going, wait a minute, 13, and here's the problem. Real wages, there's no end in sight. It's going to fall every month for the rest of this year. We're going to go 2 and 3 years where real wages continue to fall. And really all of that essentially means, Jason, is we're heading into some times that we have never seen. We thought we saw some bad times in the financial crisis. This is way worse.
It's like the old was it the Barack Obama, the 2 + 2 = 5. They want to convince everyone 2 + 2 = 5, Joe, and then you can get anybody to actually believe that. If every time you say, what does 2 + 2 equal? You say 4, and then they shock you with electricity, right, Joe? How many shocks of electricity is the average guy going to deal with before he says, okay, it's 5, right? And every time there's a market crash, it's always the Fed that fixes it, Joe. It's always the Fed that's the hero. So we have the shock of a market crash, and then the housing market. Well, quantitative easing works, Joe. Never mind that 40% of all the money supply was actually destroyed during that crash. That gave them room to print like crazy and have that sideways recovery during the Obama years. Hey, 2 + 2 = 5. Or, if you say 4, you get that shock, right, Joe? And I'll tell you right now, I don't like a lot of pain myself. Someone's shocking me. Eventually, I'll say 2 + 2 = 5. I don't want to be in pain all the time, right?
Yeah, and again, just to give you some perspective, the financial crisis, there was only 14 months where the real wages were down, 14 months in a row. We're already at 13, and there's no chance for positive real wages this year. None. I mean, so we're going to be, I don't even know if we can get it next year. We could be in for a 2 to 3 year cycle of where real wages cannot keep up with the pace, and we're seeing it in credit card debt. We're seeing it in household debt. Right, they're now saying household debt up to $16 trillion as people have to borrow money just to get by. And there's really no easy solution to this. And the realities are the central bank has no plans to really fight inflation. I mean, it's ridiculous when we're sitting there talking about how bad it is, and they're sitting there talking about half-point stuff. I mean, Fed funds rate's at 0.75. Are you kidding me? Even your fake numbers at 8.3, even your quote-unquote favorite, this is my favorite number, is at 7.2. Jason, it absolutely boggles the mind, but again, don't take my word for it. By the way, crude oil inventory numbers were out again. The collapse in distillate inventories continues unabated. I think we could see $6 diesel by Memorial Day. Jason, this problem continues to get worse, not better. The crack spread for refiners. So, in other words, and here's the problem with a lot of this stuff, because the paper price isn't telling you the story. Because the refiners, with the wipeout in diesel, we call it it's called the crack spread. In other words, how much do refiners receive on average on a barrel of oil when converting it from oil into gasoline or diesel? Right now, they're paying roughly, about $100 a barrel, okay, give or take. Okay, right now today they're going to pay $105. But at $100 a barrel, refiners were receiving $150 when converting that from oil into diesel and or unleaded gas. So think about the premium. We talk about silver premium, right? We got the same premiums now happening in unleaded gas and particularly into diesel fuel. Jason, it makes the spot price almost irrelevant. Normally, the spread's like $5 or $10. Basically, what the unleaded gas and distillate and diesel jet fuel is saying, hey, oil is more like $140 a barrel right now, even though the paper price is saying $100.
And that doesn't add all the taxes that get added to it on top of. You're selling it for 104, but then there's always taxes on every level, right, Joe?
Yeah, and this is just something that's just absolutely shocking. By the way, diesel fuel is $60 a barrel if you go to diesel. So that tells you how bad it is. U.S. Diesel fuel oil stocks are 23%, almost 25% below the 5-year average, and the gasoline's not much better. Well, it's better. It's only about 3% below its 5-year average. So when you look at wholesale diesel right now, it's more like $160 a barrel. Just absolutely insanity. And here's the problem. All of these refiners have been running as hard as they can. And guess what? Stuff starts breaking. And this has really been the problem. They got to repair, can't operate at 95, 98, 100% of capacity forever. The storm just does it. And when we get back, a really interesting development in crypto today. 800-951-0592. A lot of things happening all at once here. And we're kind of wondering, listen, we know a digital currency is coming. I think we also know now it's going to happen much sooner than I thought. If you had asked me 2 years ago, I would have said, probably 2030-ish. Now, I don't know that we get out of the Biden administration. It could happen easily within the next 2 years. And I don't think, I don't know, if I'm off, I may be off a year, right? 2025 maybe at the latest. But some interesting things happen because, we speculate. I always tell everybody, man, I love the idea of Bitcoin. The idea is so fantastic, but it really does make no sense, unfortunately, because obviously why would central bankers allow it, number one? Number two, who in the right mind would invest billions of dollars when you can't even tell me the guy that created it and allegedly owns a huge portion of it? Right? There's one guy out there that owns more Bitcoin than anybody in the world, but no one knows who it is. I'm speculating.
BlackRock.
I always would say, yeah, right.
BlackRock,
I think
Vanguard.
it's an inside job. To Jason's point, I think it's an inside job. I think we created it. And I mean the bankers, right, to get all the bugs worked out of it. But neither here nor there, right? I'm sorry, Mark Cuban, and even you, Elon Musk, sorry. I don't buy the fact that you think it would be great. Yes, you can't tell me who created it. You can't tell me the guy that owns it. But, yeah, put your money in there anyway. None of that made sense to me. But neither here nor there. The idea is great. Take the power away from the central bank and let the market be the market. But something really interesting happened today. Number one, it started out with the stable coins. Now, these were digital tokens that were supposed to track the U.S. dollar. They absolutely collapsed today. The main stable coin, Terra is the company that created this, got all the way down to 26 cents on the dollar. They had a sister coin, Luna. It went all the way down to 4 cents on the dollar, which got Janet Yellen out saying, see, this is how dangerous these things really are. And then Coinbase. Here in the United States, the vast majority of people that buy and sell cryptocurrency go through Coinbase. Okay? That's the exchange, if you will, of, hey, I'm converting dollars to crypto, I'm converting crypto to dollars. They're the middleman. Absolutely got crushed yesterday. I'm sorry, yesterday, this morning. It lost 25% of its value this morning, but inside the news was really bad. Revenue down almost 30%. They lost hundreds of millions of dollars. Monthly transaction users fell by over 20%. Trading revenue fell by over 40%. And news now that, hey, guess what? We may be talking about bankruptcy. And in the case of these, Jason, if they go bankrupt, I'm pretty sure you would lose all your money. If you had money in Coinbase and they went BK, do you lose your money?
I think so, Joe. I think so. I mean, you lose your money when it goes down.
Listen, I don't know exactly how it works, but it's not protected. So that would be my guess.
One of the things about blockchain technology, and this is one of the things they're trying to fix, and it's one of the reasons, Joe, that I believe we don't have a Fed coin yet, is that the speed of transactions is very slow with blockchain. And there are some faster ones now. They're getting faster. So let's just say that there's a crash on a cryptocurrency. Let's just take this one. If you're looking this one up that Joe's talking about, it's UST. It was heavy in a crypto coin Luna, but UST had a whole bunch of other cryptos like Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's going down. That was in their little basket of cryptos. And when it comes to selling, it's supposed to be a very efficient way, but sometimes it still takes a day, 2 days, or 3 days when things are slow to get your money out of the crypto and into your digital account. Just signing up for crypto could take a week or two. I mean, sometimes signing up for crypto could take longer than actually selling it, but the selling could take days. And Joe, who's going to, this is just like a bank run. If everyone's selling their UST, Terra, all at the same time, are you going to get yours? And if it freezes, are you going to get it at all? It's the same as a bank run. And I believe that they're going to use, the Fed and other central banks are going to use this as a reason to bring Fed coin out. It's like, look, you've got all these crazy cryptocurrencies that are unstable. We think it's unlawful for these unstable so-called stable coins. They would go up in value and down in value and crashing and stealing the American public's money. They're going to save us, Joe, and usher in their new one. And there's a couple of ways they might do it, Joe. There's a couple of ways, right? There's many ways.
And I think to Jason's point, I think that really makes sense. There's going to be a wipeout of a certain number of these digital currencies, and people are going to be completely wiped out. Right? They're going to get nothing, and I think that'll be part of, throw that in with the rest of it, right? The stock market declining, standard of living's declining, real wages declining, right? We've got to go to this digital currency, and whether it be Coinbase or some other exchange that goes bankrupt and everybody loses their money, this will be, I think, another way in, right, as to why they are stepping in to do these things. And I don't know. And again, I want to fully tell you, I don't understand all of the crypto things. I know enough. I know more than most people. But very interesting how the news today immediately got Janet Yellen talking about, hey, you're going to lose all your money, and this is why we need to have a Fed coin. So tie that into it. I think this actually helps their case, right, Jason?
Well, Joe, we have a blueprint for the little tiny coins that are out there, because there's all these coins, and people are like, well, what do I do? They're all penny stocks, Joe. Penny stocks, and a lot of the way penny stocks work is, we'll hit the break. You have some guy in his garage, he's going to invent the big new technology, but he has no money to move forward, so he goes public and tries to get someone to invest, right? A lot of miniature cryptos are like this, Joe. We'll talk more on the other side. This has actually existed before digital currencies.
800-951-0592, U.S. $20 gold pieces today, $21.75, and anything could happen. but I think the bottom is in here. You got gold up 16, 18.55, $20 gold here, 21.75. If you can swing it, add it to your portfolio. On the silver side of things, rolls of silver $0.50, $2.45 a roll. Pick them up. Silver rebounding very, very nicely here, 21.80. Yesterday in the aftermarket, remember I was talking about $21. Silver got to like $21.10. I'm going to call that close enough, Jason. I think silver is going to rebound from here really quickly. The Perth Mint came out with their sales data that said, hey, anybody who thought gold and silver sales fell in April, guess again. Sales of gold were up over 80,000 ounces. Silver, and this is the Australian Mint, 2.1 million ounces of silver out of Australia, Jason. Those numbers were much, much better than expected.
Yeah, Joe, and when it comes to when I buy gold and silver, Joe, I've never been too worried about the price. I'm comfortable in the fact that we have a central bank, and inflation is what they do. That's exactly what they wanted from the very beginning. From 1913, inflation's how they steal from us. So as long as there's a central bank, Joe, I've never really worried when I buy gold and silver. Anytime I buy it, I'm never going to turn around and sell it immediately because there is a premium. Joe, it's never, gold goes down a little bit, silver goes down a little bit, you buy it, it goes up a little bit, you buy it. And just like savings, Joe, people have these savings, these 401ks, you don't have to look at it. Hey, your company pulls it out of your check, you don't have to think about it. Well, why don't you just do that? We have the metals program, we could do the same thing here. Why don't you just save it the way that the 401k is kind of stealing it from you? All the fees and taxes and the markets crash here in the next few months, Joe. I mean, how's your 401k going to look after that?
Yeah, well, exactly. I didn't want to talk, but we'll let Joey talk about that. And Jason brings up a great point. Buy it here today. 20s at 21.75. I mean, that's so far below where it's going to be, and going to be very quickly. I think this was the last, I think, of this dollar strength where they're going to pretend that rate hikes are a good thing. They're absolutely not. Toyota today, wow, calling inflation unprecedented, said, essentially took a big dump on the peak inflation theory, saying costs continue to rise across the board, said that it is absolutely unprecedented. The company is working internally with its suppliers to try to cut costs as much as possible to avoid simply continuing raising the prices for its vehicles. He said that could include using less raw materials. I don't know what, make the aluminum even thinner? I don't know. Switching to lower priced parts. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I know what that means. Hey, we're going to have to buy the Chinese parts because the other parts just make it unaffordable, Jason. I mean, this is exactly, you talk about a lower standard of living. This is exactly what you're getting with all these products. Hey, it's no different than that bag of chips. All of a sudden, it's got 2 ounces less chips in it. That roll of toilet paper, hey, it's got 40 less sheets in it. Now your car, hey, you know what? We built it with crappier parts, Jason.
Toyota is the quintessential efficient company out there. The Toyota Corolla, which is a car that I like to drive because it's you can bang it up and just abuse the hell out of it, and it keeps on going for well past 200,000 miles. It's per dollar per mile, no cheaper car out there. And the reason the Corolla is like that is because Toyota has fine-tuned that car and their other cars to be efficient, to be long-lasting, to be the best car for your, like I said, dollars per mile. And if they're saying that they can't find a way, I mean, this is the most efficient company out there. If they can't find a way to keep prices down, nobody's going to do it.
Yeah, and in this article, Jason brings up a great point, because in this article it said, hey, by the way, no one's done a better job of managing the issue than Toyota. So to Jason's point, they are the leaders in this kind of stuff, and their CEO today just said it's unrelenting.
The way they'll keep the prices down at Toyota, Joe, is they'll start taking out some of those extra fun features.
Yeah.
That's all they'll do.
Take out the sunroof will be gone, right? The
heated
maybe
seats.
The heat seater, the heater in the seats and all that stuff, right? You're gonna strip it all down. But really quick, because we're coming up on this break. Jason, let's wrap up these other coins that we were talking about on the digital side.
Yeah. There's a couple of ways. Are you want to go into how I believe they're going to bring it in? Because I think there's two ways they're going to bring it in, Joe, is when they crash.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah. I believe that they're going to, one of two things. They're either going to let these coins run like a huge competition. There'll be a whole lot of winners and losers, people investing in these things. And then the cream will rise to the top, so to speak. And then the regulations will come in and cut those small guys down. Hey, if you want to be in the club, you have to pass regulations to be in this area. And then one will emerge on top, and then the Fed will just adopt that coin. The other way is, Joe, they'll just step on all of it with regulations and everything, because look, it's killing people. It's messing up their home economics. Hey, you're losing all your money. We need to take this over because look how bad it is. Look at all the crash. You look at how unstable it is, and then they'll just come in and take it. So it'll either be a competition or they're just going to take it, Joe.
There you have it. 800-951-0592. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. $50, $2.45. Buy them. Silver got close enough to that $21 for me during electronic trading yesterday. Right now, $21.80, up about 50 cents this morning. Gold's up double digits here as well. $20 gold, $21.75. And again, I don't know that it gets any lower than that. You'll be buying right near the bottom, if not the bottom today, at 800-951-0592. Inflation much hotter than expected. A lot of turmoil in the crypto world. Again, setting them up to, again, they're going to save it all. We're going to save you and save you from yourselves and all those other things with this digital currency. And last but not least, this just coming out, Gordon Johnson hammering Tesla stock today, saying that Tesla, the worst performing company in the electric vehicle market in China, said that Tesla sold just 1,500 cars in the month of April in China. They produced almost 11,000 cars. Tesla sales down 98%, an absolute implosion. On that news, by the way, the NASDAQ, which was higher, is now down almost 100 points. And the Dow, which was up about 350, it's lost 100 points here on that news as well, Jason.
But Elon Musk has plenty of money to buy Twitter.
Yeah.
I want to say one thing about the crypto. I didn't get to. You'll know if one of the cryptos is going to be the one and is going to be adopted by the Fed, because Walmart will accept it as payment, or Kroger. You'll see it as, it'll be right there with MasterCard and Visa. We accept Bitcoin.
I think it's going to change completely. I don't think it'll be used that way. I think they'll have other uses. I think when that Fed coin comes out, it's in their best interest. Kind of China did the same thing. When they launched theirs, what did they do? Immediately, hey, we're banning Bitcoin.
Correct.
You don't want that competition. When they took away gold, what did they do? They didn't just take it away. Then they banned it, made it illegal to own. So I would imagine the survivors, because I think it will be a survival thing. Some of them will survive. A lot of people are going to lose everything as something like a Coinbase goes bankrupt. But the ones that remain, I think it'll just be a different almost like a stock investment of some kind.
Yes.
And maybe some of these companies will use the technology as a clearinghouse. I don't know. It really does. It is quite interesting, though, that they're capitalizing on this horrible crypto news that came out today.
Yep.
About the fact that they need to come to the rescue and save us from ourselves.
And I agree with you, Joe. And I think if they wipe them out, you're exactly right. But if they have, here's the thing: they may want to adopt one. Let the private company, or supposedly private company, do all the work and get it up and running. If you do see it for some reason, and like let's say Walmart accepts it, Joe, that doesn't mean that Bitcoin is this great thing that everyone should be buying into. It will mean that the Fed will come in and they'll basically absorb it and take over it, because it'll actually be used for actual transactions on a large scale, which that's what they really need for a digital currency to work, Joe. They need everyone to use it, right?
Yeah. Bitcoin was trying to rally, just went back into negative territory, trying to hold 30,000 right now. We'll have to wait and see there. Gold, $20 gold. Buy it, $21.75. And those silver $half, that's the deal of the day at $2.45. 800-951-0592.